the ultimate goal in life, the only one you should ever have. What is the ultimate goal in life? And please do not say there, because let's not go there. And even so, that is just a transition phase, not the end of the world. This much you should already know. But what if there is one goal that you should aim for the rest of your life? That is much, much more important than any other goal in life. You can dream of a new house, money, a relationship, health, a better life, and set goals for yourself. This year, I'm going to be in a good shape. I'll get that beach body. This year, I'm going to be rich. I want a new car. I want a house with a pool, or I want to move abroad somewhere beautiful, warm, and under the palm trees. I want a home where I can just walk to my balcony and see the sea. And the house should be built on top of a mountain. By the way, these are all good goals. I'm not saying you shouldn't set these kind of goals. And actually, at one time, all of these have been my goals. And every one of them has become true. And a lot more. And they just keep coming in the most miraculous ways possible. But every time I reached a goal, a new goal has revealed itself. First, your new dream home might feel exciting for a while, but after that comes a second, bigger and better one, or something different in a different place. First, when you hit your money goal, the next zero appears after the original numbers, and here we go again. First, you hit your fitness goal. Then an even more ambitious goal becomes your next target to aim for. And again, I say this, there is nothing bad about this, but there is something that so many miss. The real goal that you should always aim for in life. Enlightenment? Well, yes, but let's make it simpler, so it's not so far-fetched, so that you can actually start today achieving this goal with clear steps. But before I tell you what the ultimate goal of your life is, let me give you an example to make this a home run. Story time. Once upon a time, there was a girl who was born in the middle of a war. Her family was in a constant run, and over the next 12 years, she was always running, from country to country, until she finally got safe. She didn't get to go to school like most of us, but now she had a new chance in this new country that took her family into custody. Actually, the thing is that normally, from where she came, she would focus on preparing to get married and become a housewife, because there men do the work and women take care of the house and the children. But of course, times have changed, and also in this new country, especially in this new country, there was no such thing as a housewife. This culture was all about career, and everything you aim for is to get a good career, no matter if you are a man or a woman. But for this 12-year-old girl, it was a sign of hope to do everything that you couldn't do before, to totally change your future expectations and become something else. So she went to a school, and she loved studying. She got good grades and got into better schools. Okay, nothing came easy to her, because first she had to learn the language and put in 10 times more effort than most others. But still, through many difficulties, she didn't give up. She had this fiery thing in her that didn't allow her to give up. Of course, like we all have times in our lives. For most of us, it happens in the teenage years, but sometimes it comes later and even in cycles until it breaks. You know these times where we thought that this is the end point. There is no way out from here anymore. This is the lowest point in my life. But somehow, life always had its own plans to figure things out. Ultimately, this girl grew into an adult who went from school to school, job to job, getting her life upgraded year after year, becoming more educated and more respected, noticed and valued in society. She managed to get a good family for herself, a husband who deeply loves her, and a child who was born out of that love. Her life was perfect on the outside, and every goal she set, she got. But on the inside, she wasn't truly happy. She suffered deeply. And no one other than her family knew about this. It seemed that she lived a perfect life. She had more than most would ever wish for. But the emptiness kept growing. Most of the time she felt that everything was on her shoulders and the burden was too heavy to carry. What happens if she stops achieving? What happens if she stops working? What happens if she just stops? Everything will collapse because the man she had spent most of his years trying to build businesses, but business after business went down, and what was left was a tremendous amount of debt. The man she was with wasn't much of a worker, although he tried in many places, but somehow he always got fired or something happened, and he was out of work again. He had big dreams, and the only work he could actually do was work toward those dreams. He felt a great pull to be a teacher to many and to teach things that were controversial to society's norms. So there were no ready-made jobs for him. The problem was that dreams alone wouldn't pay the bills. So the woman, a mother and wife, started to feel like life is unfair. Why did she have to do all the things? And although she could do what she loved, every time she got what she wanted, a new thing that she wanted came to life. First, it was school certificates, then work promotions, and then different career paths all together. Then it was this and that, but nothing seemed to take off the burden she had been carrying. Ever since she was a little girl, yes, she achieved everything she wanted, and every goal of hers seemed to magically come true, but still it felt like the cups weren't even, like the family was out of proportion, and she held everything together like glue. But she was tired of being the glue, being the provider, being the caretaker, being the wife, being the mother, being everything under the sun and earth. When was her time to be cherished and taken care of? The man could feel this as well and started to feel unworthy of the woman. He didn't feel that he was the right man for her. She needed a provider, a better man beside her, someone who could take care of her and who could at least be a man. They both got distracted from what they had and started to think again about what they were lacking. All the achievements meant nothing. They come and go. But what was lurking in the dark became too big to be ignored, and there was no way to sweep this under the rug. They had to face the dirt, and either they wipe it off together or their once happy thought of a family will explode into a million pieces into the universe, never finding the big picture again. The man tried to be the man for her and went to work again but was never satisfied. He was feeling low and giving up on his dreams, but still wanted to make a sacrifice for his wife. So at least she could live happily, have the man who works to provide for the family. But the truth was that the woman couldn't be happy when she saw her love become unhappy. So the situation felt like there was no way out. Either way, someone is going to be disappointed and unhappy. One who gets her goals met but never rests and always works, and the other who never gets his goals met and always fails even if he tries. It was almost like an impossible equation to solve, and the man started to think. The first thing he thought was, I just want her to be happy, and I don't want to be the reason for her misery. So what if I try to find a better man for her? At first this sounded crazy, but it seemed like the only way, so the man continued his idea. What if I start looking for places where rich people hang out and take her there? Maybe she would be interested in someone. And she's beautiful and young and successful so anyone would be lucky to have her by his side. I would just say that let's go into this place for a drink. I found a really nice place to see. Then I just act very friendly toward the most good-looking and well-managed stranger there and start to make friends. Slowly maybe things could take off. Even though he knew this was far-fetched, what else could he do? But the more he thought about his wife finding another man, the more pain he felt. Even though he truly believed she would be 100 times happier with almost anyone else, in his eyes, his own worth as a man was worth nickels on the ground. There was absolutely nothing about him so special that you wouldn't find anywhere else. He was okay looking, but there are a lot more handsome, taller, more muscular, more manly men than he could ever be. Also, anyone who just has a career is better off than him. He wasn't particularly outgoing, so even someone who loves to spend time in places, travel and see things would be better. He most certainly wasn't any wiser, and there were a lot of men who easily outsmarted him. The man couldn't find a single reason why she would want to be with him instead of any other man. But still, the thought made him sick to his stomach. They both were unsatisfied. They both were unhappy. They both were just a reflection of what they once were as a couple. Once upon a time, there was true love in their presence. But what happened? Life had consumed them. Although it should have lit them up with joy, this unsatisfying feeling that they carried with them started to become very alive in every part of their lives. The woman who had succeeded against all circumstances in her career and recognition in status didn't feel that it was enough. She was still unsatisfied with what she had, although there was a time when she had nothing, when she couldn't even believe that it was possible for her, when she thought that her life was railed in the very wrong direction, in such a way that there was no point in living anymore, not to mention becoming somebody important or achieving anything special. This was before she met her husband and found her real love. through his eyes. Someone who really looked at her like an angel, like the best friend, like the most cherished thing on the whole planet. Someone who was willing to share everything he had with her without any expectations on his side. She was the one who made the man believe again in life, and the man did the same for her. But the man, the husband, on the other hand, forgot the man he once was. He forgot the dream he once had. He forgot the fallen angel he had found. He was the one who wanted to show the whole world to this angelic being, and he was the one who wanted to forge her wings full of white and golden feathers, so big that she could fly like she was meant to. He wanted to show her how good life can be. And life back then, back in the good times, the old times as they say, back when they both were deeply in love and deeply excited about being around each other, was like dancing in the rain. Yes, there were times when storms and thunder struck and they lost their grip on each other, but even in the middle of the darkest moments, somehow they always reached for a touch, and it was as if together they were meant to be. Back in the days, these two were a power couple who cheered each other's on no matter what they wanted to do. They were judged or wondered if the idea was silly or not. They just lived like there was no other day to live. They hugged and kissed and talked endlessly about their dreams. These two souls were art of life, the painter and the painting. Because love has this kind of power to make things seem beautiful, even when they are not. Because when love is present, there is no room for other things. Sometimes, and many times, it only takes one idea, a memory, a word, or a tiny presence of love to breathe hope and push you into a la la land. And so it happened again and again. Love is what makes you see again. It makes you see the truth and turn away from the darkness, from the pain. Even in the darkest moments, if you can just feel held in the lap of pure love, it makes your eyes wet and your chest warm. The worry comes and goes, but the love is eternal. And what is eternal is now. And what is now is a present. When you are in the present moment, there is no misery from yesterday or fear of tomorrow. And when you are in love, there is only a dream of tomorrow. This was the solution to the impossible equation. This is what they both remembered. And the man started to be a man again. Not just any other man, but the man who works in love without fear or doubt. If you now watch him closely, he has this sparkle in his eyes, and that sparkle is unstoppable. It is the scariest thing that any man can have. Because when this flame burns in the heart of a man and is shown in his eyes, there is nothing that can stop it. And this sparkle is available to every human being through the flames of love. Too, the woman too was touched by the divine hand, and she could hear the angels of heaven again. Her angelic family was singing a hymn for her to awaken to who she truly was. With her wisdom and with his faith, together they started to dance again in the rain. And while they kept dancing, the rain stopped, and the sun started to shine. The birds sang a song, the flowers greeted them with joy, and all the pleasures were there again. There were no plans for tomorrow, only dreams kept them laughing, and to this moment they still keep dancing and singing through their life, spreading joy for everyone who is present enough to listen. Do you already know what the lesson of this silly story is? The ultimate goal in life is not to go anywhere. It is not to achieve anything or get this and that. Those are traps of disappointment. Do you know how many millionaires are unhappy at this very moment, although every one of them has achieved the status of being a millionaire? Most of them once dreamed of that goal, so shouldn't they be happy now? By the way, did you know that according to the UBS Global Wealth Report 2025, about 680,000 people worldwide became new millionaires in 2024. It averages to roughly 1,800 new millionaires per day globally. This number is increasing, and if you think about it, every Monday, 1,800 new people become millionaires, and every Tuesday, another 1,800 become millionaires, and every Wednesday it happens again, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and even Sunday, when God rests. The millionaires pop out with ever-growing speed. Is it such a far-fetched goal to achieve anymore? No, it's not. It is starting to become the new norm, like eating breakfast, if you just believe it's possible. But we weren't talking about money here. I just took this as an example of a goal that is one of the most common goals out there to achieve. But like I said before, what if you become a millionaire and still unsatisfied with your life? Maybe you don't love the work that got you there. Maybe you are not healthy enough to enjoy the money. Maybe you destroyed your family along the way by not being with your children or your spouse, because you were so focused on getting the money. Maybe you became so stressed along the way of achieving your goal that you burned out and became depressed. So, who now cares about millions? Maybe someone has a terminal disease, cancer or something, and only a short span of life left. Does he care about how well the business is running and how much it is growing? Someone wishes for a very long life. Is that a good goal? Well, it depends how happy you are, right? Let me ask you this question. If you had to choose, which one would you choose? 100 years to live in misery, depression, and suffering, or only 7 days to live in total ecstasy, bliss, love, and enjoyment? Which one would you take? It's obvious now, right? I would even take 1 day or 1 hour instead of 100 years of feeling bad. And this just shows us how important feelings are. But somehow we forgot that this is the most important thing, a gift that we have, the gift to feel. But for too many, it has become a curse. And it is because they try to live their lives in when this happened or happily ever after. But what if the after never comes? You cannot be happy if you have tied it to an outcome. If this happens, then I'll be happy. If this doesn't go the way I planned, then I'm not happy. The same thing. The most important goal, always, forever, and for everyone, must be a feeling. And that feeling can be anything that feels good. This is your ultimate goal in life, forever, to feel good. Always, every day. No after, not when, not if, but now. Why wait? When you learn to dance in the rain, you don't wait for the sun anymore. You don't wait for the next vacation, the weekend, or the savior. When you learn to enjoy your life as it is now, every goal you achieve is just a fun bonus, not something that defines your life in any way. Now, I'm not saying that you shouldn't want other goals in your life. No, not at all. There are two goals you would want to live for. The first goal is to feel good in any way possible, no matter where you are at the moment on the scale of feelings. Because there are many good feelings, not only the smiling, singing, dancing person is feeling good. A good feeling can simply be feeling peace, feeling at ease, feeling safe, feeling comfort, feeling pleasant, feeling wonder, feeling curiosity, feeling inspired, feeling enjoyment, feeling happiness, feeling blissfulness, feeling love, and the list of good feelings goes on. So no matter what you do in your life, who you are, or what you have achieved, if you feel good, then who cares, right? There are happy people who live in a small home without anything special, and they are completely happy, laughing all day long, thankful for the life they have. Now, what is the second goal I would suggest you have? The primary goal, the ultimate goal is feeling good now. The secondary goal you want to give yourself is to want to have more. This is one of the most beautiful goals I have found as well. You just have a good feeling and you want to have more. More what? More good feelings, of course. And also more of everything that increases that good feeling. More health, more wealth, more a bigger home, a private yacht, more energy, more skills, more happy experiences, more and more and more goodness. I know that many personal development teachers would say that wanting is not a goal. Wanting is not something you should even say because it doesn't mean that you really go after it. It's such a loose way of setting goals. But I say that the way most people teach you, the way where you do everything for the goal and don't let anything stop you, can also become your biggest mistake in life. What if you don't get the goal? You feel like a failure, like I have before. Failure after failure. And reading Thomas Edison's quote day after day. How did it feel to fail 10,000 times until you succeeded? And Edison answers, I didn't fail. It just took that many times to succeed. And yes, it's one way of comforting yourself and tapping yourself on the back. But if you look back at Edison's life, it wasn't his only invention or the only thing he focused on. No, he had many other inventions. It's not like that was his only purpose in life. So what if it never worked out? Still, he had fun while solving the problems or building his inventions and testing different things. It is the corny saying, it is not the destination, but the journey. And this is where we all are. We are constantly experiencing life as it is. And life only slips through your fingers if you cannot live for the moment, which is the present, the gift we have. But are you really enjoying the gift you have?